Everyone, and thanks for being here. As you might know, the Intel Core 13 Gen and 14 Gen, specifically the 13900K and the 14900K, lately are having a lot of issues with stability and performance. Despite the guidance regarding the instability reports and some overclocking tweaks, they are still having issues. And some of this instability are also happening on the server side, which is something that a lot of service providers or a lot of gaming development studios or so on are not going to accept this kind of stability issues and this kind of performance, because some of these platforms are using the 13900K and the 4900K. And also some gaming studios are facing issues, as we can see here on this quick report here. We can see in what kind of percentage all these crashes are happening on with these CPUs. Wendell on Level 1 Tech have done an amazing video on this issue. He has gone on all of the details and has gone on all of the reports. He has the chance to dig in with all of these reports with all the checking the stability rate and checking the failing rate of these CPUs, in particular gaming. As we can see here also, we have Intel Silent Effective 13 and 14 Gen CPUs. So what is going on here is something which you cannot fix with certain tweaks and with changing simply the voltage or changing simply the power limits. You can try to mitigate somehow changing those limits. I have done a couple of videos on how you can do that. I will leave it down in the description so you guys can go and check how you can change those settings in the BIOS, power limit, undervolting, and so on. But despite that, we are having a lot of issues with stability. Personally, I'm not having any issues up to now, but I'm suspecting that my CPU is a little bit going on a degrading side. Because if you want somehow to avoid those kind of huge issues, first of all, let me say that if your system doesn't have any issue with those stability and with those settings on the BIOS and with those settings on undervolting and so on, I would recommend you guys to don't touch anything on your BIOS or on your CPU settings, just to leave it as it is. But in case you are having some issues, you can try and change some settings. First of all, what I would recommend is see and if the BIOS of your motherboard is the latest version. You can go and check if you have the latest BIOS on the website of your motherboard. With that said, I would recommend to start and set everything on default and set the limits with those Intel profiles, with load line calibration and so on. So you can set those limits at least to 250 watts of power limits, and starting from that you should see if there is any. But again, if you don't have any issues, I wouldn't recommend to change any of these settings. As we can see here, I have opened quickly my hardware monitor to see what kind of frequencies we are getting, what kind of value about voltage and temperature and so on. So as we can see here, I'm getting 5.5 gigahertz on the P cores and 4.3 gigahertz on the E cores. And as we can see, the voltage is 1.325 and the maximum amps are 69. I was stress testing a little bit the system with video editing and with video rendering, so just to have an overview on what is going on here. These are some settings that might not work with your system because, as you might know, any CPU and all of the motherboards are different from each other. So this is not 100% sure that it's going to work with your system. But anyway, this is something that you should start trying. So my opinion on this issue is just speculating here. I just don't have any exact information. Just this is my opinion and this is my kind of guessing on what is going on here. I believe that up to certain period of producing in the CPUs and producing and testing, Intel was okay. And then probably something has changed on what they have done in production. Maybe when they were releasing the 14 Gen 4900K, they are starting changing probably something, and this might have been affecting also the next releases of the 13900K series of CPU. They have really pushing too high also the thermal limits and the voltage and so on. But let me be clear, I don't want to justify Intel on whatever, but also the motherboards with those weird and strange and sometimes shadow settings on the BIOS are part of the issue, in my opinion, also here. So if you guys find helpful this update on what is going on with these Intel CPUs, hit the like button. Remember to subscribe to the videos. Many of you guys who are watching my videos are not subscribed, so that will be a really huge help on the channel and doesn't cost you anything. Thanks for watching and see you in the next one.